Hi, my name's Dave Osgerby and I write poems for the Hull City Council Cream Plaque Committee, of which Jack Harrison VCMC is a recipient. So I'm going to read you my poem about Jack, which mentions at the end stopping at his memorial. Well, I hope the purpose of this is to find, the next time I read this I can say stop at his statue, which is the object of this. So this is called Jack Harrison VCMC. In the early hours of May the 3rd, 1917, a man is running through no man's land. He carries a gun and a Mills grenade. Can you see the picture? Nothing was planned. Jack was running to save his pals and he sidestepped and weaved as he went on. He reached the try-line. The machine gun stopped, but Jack was never found. He was gone. But I like to think that he smiled as he ran as the boulevard crowd called his name, for it was there that Jack Harrison really belonged. He ran for the team, not for fame. And I hope that he smiled and wasn't afraid as he ate up the yards to the guns. And I pray that no suffering came at the end of this father, this husband, this son. So if you're in Hull and you're in West Park with a kind summer wind at your back, stop at his memorial and simply say, well done, lad. Well played, Jack.
Jack Harrison achieved very much in a life that was tragically cut short in the most harrowing circumstances of that time. We'll also look at Jack's early life, from where he was born to where he went to school, and where he lived before and after going to teacher training college, across his many achievements in the different sports that he played, and in his all too brief military career. Hull FC legend Sammy Lloyd, he stood next to the memorial to club record holder Jack Harrison. What did they actually say to you about Jack Harrison when you first arrived from Castleford?
Jack Harrison was one of the first legends that they told us about when we arrived, in terms of the status he has in Hull. And it's remarkable that here we are 100 years on, and Jack is even more famous today. Winning and being awarded the Victoria Cross was just something really special that has a strong connection with all the players, past and present. So it's something extremely special.
And of course, he was the first ever professional sportsman to win the Victoria Cross, wasn't he? Was that something that resonated with you as a sportsman at the time?
Yeah, it's something that I didn't particularly know a great deal about until I came over to Hull. And of course, only recently realised that not only did Jack Harrison at Hull win the Victoria Cross and of course died, but there's a guy called Tom Bryan at Castleford that actually won the Victoria Cross too.
Yeah, indeed, and they had a special match for them on Boxing Day, didn't they?
Yeah. I had a tremendous amount of respect.
And when, obviously, you played in a great Hull side of the early 80s that was very successful, if you were struggling in a game, would thoughts turn at all to Jack and to what he accomplished?
It was mentioned on more than one occasion. But the other legends in Hull, the likes of Johnny Whiteley, you've only got to be in Johnny's company for a few minutes over a couple of pints, and it's not long before Johnny extols the virtues of Jack Harrison. And there's nobody more passionate than Johnny Whiteley when he refers to the legends of Hull like Jack Harrison.
We've got a beautiful memorial here outside the Cairncombe Stadium, but it's a campaign to get a statue of Jack Harrison somewhere at the Cenotaph, somewhere like that.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? I mean, to do what Jack Harrison did, especially with his try-scoring ability, and then his absolute courage to do what he did during the First World War and sadly get killed. There's nothing bigger, there's nothing finer, there's nothing more courageous, and Hull as a city has got to back this. There's got to be a statue. It's very, very special.
Do you see the legacy of Jack Harrison continuing for more years to come then?
Oh, I think so. I mean, where else And in what period could something like that ever happen again? The season before, he goes and scores 52 tries. And then, he goes off to war, and he wins his first medal for valour. I'm just trying to remember what it was called.
Military Cross.
It was the Military Cross. And then, of course, he goes on and gets killed running for the line. That, as a legend, will never be seen again. And I hope to God that we never do see it again. But that just shows that was a different era, a different period of time. My God, to go and do that with such a long time ago is just so special. 52 tries! Oh my God, I just wish we had some footage and more photos and more stories. At this moment in time, the three of us are writing a song about Jack Harrison. It's in production at this moment in time. I'm going off from here to hook up with a couple of the band, and we're going to start rehearsing it. So look out for a song regarding Jack Harrison coming up in the not too distant future.
This is Williamson Street in East Hull, where Jack Harrison was born. He was the fourth of 7 children that his parents, Charlotte and John Harrison, had. His father was a plater and boilermaker at the old Earl's shipyard. It was a humble beginning for a lad who became exceptional. It may have been humble, but it was also a very stable background that Jack was born into, which nurtured him and his outstanding abilities, along with that of his 6 siblings. Jack had 5 sisters and a younger brother as well. The Harrison family were deep-rooted in East Hull. Jack attended Craven Street School, which was somewhere around this area, and would also go to matches at Hull KR's ground down that same street. The family also moved on to Brazil Street, just further down Holderness Road, before also moving to Newbridge Road. This is the Boulevard Academy, but in 1912, when Jack returned home from York, this is the site where the famous Boulevard Rugby League ground stood, and this is where Jack came to continue his rugby league career, despite his East Hull roots and despite his father being a Hull Kingston Rovers fan. At the time, Hull FC were in the process of building a squad with the express purpose of winning the most prestigious prize in World Rugby League, the Challenge Cup. A few years earlier, the Early Birds had unfortunately suffered the ignominy of becoming the first team ever to lose 3 Challenge Cup finals on the trot. Jack, along with stars like Billy Batten and Australian international Herbert Gilbert, was seen as a player who could, once and for all, put that pain behind them. In April 1914, that ambition became a reality as the Black and Whites headed to play Wakefield Trinity in another final at Throm Hall in Halifax and secured a 6-0 victory, with Jack scoring a decisive try. So Hull returned with the Challenge Cup for the first time in their history. It's likely that Jack was at his happiest at this time. He was a try-scoring Challenge Cup final hero, and a few months later, on the 1st of September 1914, he married his lifelong friend, Lillian Ellis. David Osgerby, Hull Centenary Cream Plaques poet. What does the name Jack Harrison mean to you?
A lot of things. Firstly, to me, Jack Harrison was a working class hero. He was not a man of... He was a temporary gentleman during the war. He was given the rank of second lieutenant. And it's interesting, he was a working class man, and he was a teacher. So he was a working class hero, he was a hero of education, he was a hero of rugby league, of course, still holds the try record, scoring record after 70, 80 odd years now. 102, my God. And of course, you know, you can't underplay what he did during the war at Oppy Wood. I have a personal connection with Oppie Wood as well because my grandfather was taken prisoner in that battle, and I think he represents everything that was good about Hull.
And obviously, Jack he's been commemorated, as we've said, with a cream plaque, a centenary plaque. There's a memorial to him outside the KCOM Stadium, and there's Jack Harrison Court. Now there's a campaign for a statue of him. Do you think that would be a fitting tribute to him?
I certainly would. I mentioned in my poem about stopping at his memorial. I think a statue would be a very fitting memorial. I think even had he not achieved what he did during the war, he would merit it. VC and MC is an extremely rare combination. He was an extraordinary man from ordinary roots.
Carnegie Centre, what a marvellous centre, and I want to start really by thanking Judy and the team here for this wonderful exhibition dedicated to the Hull Pals. So thank you to Judy and Peter especially, and the two Brians as well. I need to mention. The centenary plaques mark the 100 years of the Lord Mayor in Kingston upon Hull. They honour the people from our great city that have actually made this city great, I believe. That made significant difference to people's lives and had a real impact nationally, locally and internationally. John Jack Harrison VC, who we're delighted to honour today, showed tremendous courage in the face of overwhelming odds, and he sacrificed his life for the life of his men, the life of others. And their sacrifice has indeed become an inspiration for generations to come. I'm going to ask Ian to say a few words about Ian Judson, John Jack Harrison, if you will.
It's a bit difficult to talk about Jack because there's so many facets to the story. Record try scorer, holds a record, holds one record outright and jointly holds another record, and he's held them for over a century, which is something quite remarkable. And then to do what he did, going out to Oppie Wood and sacrificing himself. But I mean, there's the stuff from the western front of the Battle of the Somme where he won the Military Cross, which many people seem to forget sometimes. I think it's interesting you called him John Jack Harrison VC. He's actually John Jack Harrison VC MC. In so many facets of life, this man just went above and beyond. He went to university from a very plain background at a time when university places were almost the absolute right of the wealthy, and he qualified as a teacher. He was a great teacher by all accounts. He was a great rugby league player. Of course, was such we're a very proud rugby league city, and Jack Harrison is frankly the perfect spokesman for the city, and it's only right. You know, I've seen one of these other cream plaques, and I think it's great that Jack gets one of his own, because he defined the word hero. I really truly believe he defined it. And so what he did on the 3rd of May 1917, he didn't do it for glory, he did it because he thought it was the right thing to do. And he saw his men being slaughtered by a machine gun, and he knew there was only one way he could stop it, and you know, that's what he went and did. And so I often think just how many of his men made it into the village of Oppie that night, and how many of his men made it home because of what he did. And I think that's something that's very important to remember. Yeah, we all remember, oh, he won the Military Cross, he won the Victoria Cross, but just how many of his men made it home because of the things that he did. So I just think it's brilliant what we're doing here.
Thank you. Now I'm going to call our centenary poet, David Osgerby,
Well done, Dave.
to say his poem about
This is very personal to me, and I'm sure it's personal to a lot of people here as well. My granddad was actually taken prisoner in the Battle of Oppy Wood and spent the rest of the war in prisoner of war camp, so I feel connected, and this is my attempt to do Jack Harrison justice. In the early hours of May the 3rd, 1917, a man is running through no man's land. He carries a gun and a Mills grenade. Can you see the picture? Nothing was planned. Jack was running to save his pals, and he sidestepped and weaved as he went on. He reached the try-line. The machine gun stopped. Jack was never found. He was gone. But I like to think that he smiled as he ran, as the boulevard crowd called his name, for it was there that Jack Harrison really belonged. He ran for the team, not for fame. And I hope that he smiled and wasn't afraid as he ate up the yards to the guns. And I pray that no suffering came at the end of this father, this husband, this son. So if you're in Hull, and you're in West Park, with a kind summer wind at your back, stop at his memorial and simply say, well done, lad. Well played, Jack.
to say a few words in unveiling the plaque.
Certainly. It's an honour and a privilege to remember and to bring back to life, in a way, this wonderful man. John Harrison, an East Hull lad. His father worked in the shipyard. Never, in the eyes of most people in that part of the city, would he have been a guy that went to be a teacher, went through university, went to be a hero playing for the club in the west of the city, and then became a hero in the war. You're right, Ian. VCMC, don't forget it. The guy did it twice. The second time it took his life, that was to save others. He was a team man. He was a team man as a teacher. He brought up the kids that were his pupils. He made their lives better. He was a legend in rugby league. Some of the records he set over 100 years ago still stand. It was such a privilege to see the replica shirt that Hull FC produced, which showed Harrison's shirt but with the poppy on it. It's only right that we pay tribute to a man that did all that he did, because the word hero, self-effacing hero, is what Jack was. He put others before himself. As a team player, he was out on the end. He was a winger. He was the finisher. He was the guy that got the tries because he had a good team around him, one of the best teams of all time. But he was one of the best players of all time. And by his bravery and his thought for others, not for himself, he's one of the men that this city should always remember. He is the ultimate Hull hero. He was a hero on the rugby pitch. He was a hero in battle, and he died for
Councillor Mary Glue, former Lord Mayor and instigator of the Lord Mayor
Centenary plaques. Yes.
Now then, you decided to give one of these green plaques to Jack Harrison VCMC. Can you tell us about the decision behind that?
Absolutely. Myself and the plaque committee were absolutely adamant that Jack was deserving of this honour. And obviously the centenary plaques are about the people that have really made a difference, a significant difference to people's lives. So it's often people from Hull or people adopted by our great city that have really made a difference. Yes, yeah.
And of course, Jack, he made a difference in so many different ways, didn't he?
He did.
As a teacher and as a rugby league hero and a war hero as
Yes,
well.
yeah.
How much was it? Was it all of that behind the decision, or was it more about the Victoria Cross and all the sacrifice?
I think really everything. He was an extraordinary man. He excelled in everything he did. and whether it was, becoming a teacher in from very difficult background, a poor East Hull background, and did very well, excelled as a scholar, excelled as an excellent rugby player. That unbroken record that's not been broken even today. 52 tries for Hull FC, and as I say, the fact that he was an inspiration for many people, not only for his men, whom lives he saved, but for generations that followed.
And obviously, he's becoming more on the curriculum, isn't he, at schools in Hull? I think that they're starting to learn more about him.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's a local lad, and as I say, really should be talked about. Keeping his memory alive is important, and that of the Hull Pals, the regiment he belonged to, very important.
Let's ask you a personal thing. Me personally, I'm actually running a campaign to possibly see if we can get a statue of Jack erected in Hull City Centre, possibly outside Harry Trent or something like that. Is that something that you would like to see happen?
Oh, I'd certainly lend my support to that. I think he's a son of this city, a great son of this city. We have the plaque, we've got the commemorative paving stone. I think it would be nice to see a commemorative statue for Jack. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you very much indeed.
Willing to lend my support anytime.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
This is the village of Oppy in northern France, where the Battle of Arras was taking place on the 3rd of May 1917. Just over there is where Jack Harrison sacrificed himself to save his own men at Oppy Wood, and was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross as a result. I have the memorial here to the war dead from 1914-18. Behind that is the church of Oppy, and across to my right is the Oppy War Memorial, the memorial to the Hull Pals. Across to the left is where the council of Oppy meet. Looking around here now, it's hard to believe what happened here nearly 100 years ago on the 3rd of May 1917. It's peaceful, serene. On the 3rd of May 1917, this place was what must have been seemed like hell on earth for Jack Harrison and for several thousand other men who all died here. This is Oppy Wood. This it's almost my graceland because of my campaign to have Jack Harrison remembered. But during my time here, I've also come to want to be able to tell the story about Oppy Wood in northern France. Oppy Wood, the battle here, the Battle of Arras, is scarcely remembered even in France. And it's a story that I believe needs telling. Gareth Ellis, Hull FC captain, we're here for the opening commemorations to Jack Harrison. How much were you made aware of Jack when you first came to the club in 2013?
Well, to be honest, I obviously had heard the name branded around a lot the club, but not actually without actually knowing, the ins and outs of what the man was about. So obviously when I knew I was coming here today, I thought I'd do a little bit of reading beforehand just to sort of know, so I looked like I sounded what I was talking about. But I was actually engrossed by what I was reading. The fact that a man, first and foremost was a great rugby league player, and then obviously his heroics after that in World War I, speak for themselves, and it's a sacrifice that that he made for us to be stood here today.
And obviously, he's still a club record holder. Do the players look up to him as a club record holder?
I think being at Hull now for this is my 5th year, you really understand the history of the club and the players that have been been before us, and you know, obviously I think a lot of that came to fruition when we won the Challenge Cup, and you realise just how proud the club is of its history, and the fact that we made it as well. You know, I think it's something that you're fully aware of. At the end of the day, we are just a number, you know, and a name on the board of players that have played for the club, and it's what you do while you're on the field that, you know, to see what your legacy, so to speak, and Jack Harrison's legacy is one that, you know, he's a record holder. His try scoring feat is phenomenal, and obviously the fact that he's from Hull is just great for the city.
And obviously, I mean, as you say, you won the Challenge Cup last year because Jack was the winning try scorer in that first time Hull ever won it. Does that make for a more personal connection between yourselves and Jack at all, would you say?
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, like I said, it's the history of the game, the history in general is something that I'm very proud of, and you know, like I said before, I understand that I am just part of the history of this club. You know, when I'm gone, it's what legacy you leave behind, and like I said, Jack's left an unbelievable legacy, both on and off the field. You know, the fact that he's awarded the Victoria Cross means that he's done something very, very special in the army, as well as obviously his heroics off the field, you know, and with his try scoring feat in rugby league.
Now, I've got to ask you about something very personal to me. I'm running a campaign to get a statue of Jack, either at the Cenotaph or at Holy Trinity Church. Is that something that you could see yourself supporting?
Of course, yeah. I think anything that commemorates people like Jack Harrison, that is a stark reminder of what the sacrifices people made for us to go about our daily lives, you know, today. So anything that can commemorate that and remind us of that, I'd, you know, obviously be fully supportive of.
And it's going to be a proud moment, obviously, for you to lead the team out in that Jack Harrison Memorial game, I'm guessing.
Yeah, obviously it's obviously a proud moment every time I do, you know, lead the team out. You know, again, being captain of the club is something that I hold dear to my heart. You know, when I think of the history of the club and the great captains that have led the teams out before, so it's something that I'm very proud of. And to do it on occasions like that obviously makes it a little bit more special. I think that there's going to be a poppy on our sleeve as well, and like I say, it just reminds you of the sacrifices that were made all those years ago, for us.
One last question. You've obviously been talking with the great Hull FC legend Johnny Wiley, and he famously said, you know, we used to think when we were right under the pump, sometimes we'd think about Jack Harrison and it would inspire us for a performance. Can you see that coming to bear with the current crop, would you think?
Well, in lightish terms, I suppose there's a lot of similarities between us and the army in the way that we approach the game, and we have a lot of talks from members of the armed forces, and we've done camps with the members of the armed forces to sort of get that culture within our club, and I can see exactly why people like Johnny can draw on those sort of sacrifices that people made, like Jack. But on the other side, you know, to think that as I stand here as a rugby league player, I've enjoyed nearly 20 years of being a professional rugby league player. To think that one day I might have to, you know, sign up to the army and pay the ultimate sacrifice is something beyond me, and something that I wouldn't like to think I would have to do. So those types of guys are really special, and obviously, like I said before, the sacrifice they made for us is unbelievable.
Okay, Gareth Ellis, thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Damien Clayton, head coach of the UK Armed Forces Rugby League side. We're here for the start of the commemorations about Jack Harrison. How much do you know about the man?
Well, I know quite a bit about him actually. You know, the Royal Navy and the Army play the annual inter-service fixture for the Jack Harrison Memorial Trophy. So I've done quite a bit of research into Jack and his key attributes, what he demonstrated, you know, over in the First World War there.
And obviously, you know, this is a massive deal, the centenary, and I'm currently running a campaign to get a statue of him erected either at the Cenotaph or outside Holy Trinity. Is that something that the Armed Forces Rugby League squad would actually support?
Oh, absolutely would support it. You know, he's a big figure. Like I said, the Army and Navy play for his trophy annually in the inter-service competition, and you know, he demonstrated core attributes that I expect as a head coach in some of my players.
I mean, obviously, yes, you're obviously RAF background.
I am, yeah.
You know, and Jack was Army. Does it make any difference, the fact that he's Army compared to Air Force?
No, absolutely not. You know, I'm very proud of him. You know, as a rugby league player, as a soldier, and as a human being. And, you know, that selflessness that he demonstrated. How can you not be proud of him just because of the colour of the uniform he wore?
Obviously, you know, the commemorations are obviously going to be a very big thing, and you must be looking forward to taking on the Hull FC reserves team with your squad.
Yeah, no, it's a massive occasion for us. You know, preparing for us to go to Australia, but actually, it's more about. It was the closest fixture to the day that Jack died, and playing and commemorating him at the KCOM. With the best in the UK military against his team, Hull FC. Great occasion.
Okay, well, Damien, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome.
Peter Blythe, from the Armed Forces Forum meetings towards the commemorations about Jack Harrison. What can you tell us about the commemorations? What's going to be happening?
Right, well, the commemorations as far as the armed forces are concerned, as far as the Regimental Association of the Prince of Wales Road Regiment of Yorkshire, which, just to bore you further, is a descendant of the East Yorkshire Regiment, which amalgamated with the West Yorkshire Regiment, I nearly said that, in 1958. We are running a trip which will be 75 strong to Oppie to commemorate the Battle of Oppie and Jack's VC award on the 3rd of May 1917. The following Sunday in Sutton-on-Hull, which is just down the road from here, the centenary paving stone to Jack Harrison VCMC is to be laid in front of the War Memorial in Sutton.
And obviously you're military yourself. Can you tell me, what does Jack Harrison mean to you personally?
Well, I have to admit that I'm actually a late comer to the Jack Harrison story. I've known about him, as I suppose many of us have in this city, for a number of years. But it's only in the last 4 years of this First World War commemoration that I've really dug into and got to understand what a fine man he appears to have been. A school teacher, a sportsman, a father, a gentleman by all accounts, hard man at rugby, still holds, as we all know, the try-scoring record for Hull FC, 52 tries in the 13-14 seasons. 14-15. Was it 14-15? I stand corrected, as I frequently do. But no, I think he's an example to us all, and I think that what is going on in the city at the moment is educating an awful lot of people, particularly the young and the not so young, as just to who this man was, and more importantly, what he represented and still represents.
And as military yourself, a few people have asked me the question: what is the difference between the military cross and the military medal? Can you explain the difference between them?
Well, the Victoria Cross is, or the military medal and the military cross?
The military cross and the military medal. Yes.
Right, well, the military medal was a medal that was awarded to ranks below that of substantive WO2, up until, I think, the John Major government decided that we should all be the same and did away with the military medal. The military cross was awarded to substantive warrant officers class 2 and upwards. Right. So there was a class distinction.
And how much of a difference is there between the military cross and the Victoria Cross?
A huge difference.
Right.
In that the Victoria Cross, a huge difference in some respects. I mean, I have no personal experience of these things, but I'm sure that a lot of people who have been awarded military crosses and the Distinguished Service Order, perhaps if they'd been witnessed by the right people at the right time, then they may have been recipients of the Victoria Cross. But the rules are there. Otherwise, everybody would have a Victoria Cross, in that the action has to be with the enemy and has to be witnessed by other officers.
Right, and obviously, I mean, Jack, he amazing. He did things that other people could only dream of doing. I'm obviously leading this campaign to get a statue of him erected, either at the cenotaph or outside Holy Trinity. Is that something that yourself and the British Legion would support?
Well, I'm sure the British Legion was, and certainly our regimental association, which advertising as a descendant of the East Yorkshire Regiment, will stump up money, and we fully support this and hope to see it in our lifetime.
Okay, Peter Blythe, thank you very much indeed.
A pleasure, Ian. Thank you.
We begin with a prayer. Loving Father, we ask your blessing now as we gather to remember before you and to commend to your eternal keeping those who have laid down their lives for others in war, those who we knew, our own Jack Harrison, VCMC, and those we did not know, but who also gave the ultimate sacrifice, that we might stand here this evening in freedom and in peace. One quality of a school teacher is a vivid imagination. But never in his wildest dreams could Jack Harrison have foreseen that 100 years after his passing, Hull FC supporters would be gathered outside this magnificent stadium, laying wreaths at his memorial. Tonight, we remember his bravery and his courage. In total disregard for his own life, Jack's action would silence that machine gun, thereby saving the lives of his men. His story of bravery and self-sacrifice continue to be an inspiration to all. Tonight, 4 wreaths will be laid by representatives of club, family, the armed forces, and our fans. The last post will be played, followed by a minute's silence, before the band bring our remembrance to an end. So firstly, we ask God's blessing on the wreaths. Dear God, bless, we pray, these wreaths, that they may be a visual reminder of our gratitude for Jack Harrison and for all who gave their lives for the benefit of others. Amen.
So here, as you can see, is the post that we looked at last time I was here in Oppy. And now on this day, 100 years since Jack Harrison sacrificed himself and was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, this has now appeared here. As you can see, there is the same citation from the Freedom Flame Committee, and well, altogether much nicer presentations, poppy wreaths on there, so much more prevalent. And now we're just going to walk along here. Again, this is the famous Oppy Wood. This is where Jack sacrificed himself. This is where the machine guns were. Off to my right there, that's the big expanse of flat land that Jack ran across. And obviously there's it's a big deal here today, the 100th anniversary, the centenary of when Jack sacrificed himself and when 2,000 men were slaughtered by German machine guns that were located here on the 3rd of May 1917. It's a very emotional place, is Oppy. It's very emotional, it's very quaint, and it's a quintessential village. It could be a village anywhere in the world, and you'd have no idea of what happened here 100 years ago if you weren't aware of it. You know, this would be just
Bang, 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 bang.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello there. I'm filming a documentary about Jack Harrison.
Oh, right. Well, we've just seen the place. It's just inside the hedgerow here, where he was killed. Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
How do we actually get into the wood?
I am here.
The madam here, the boss is here.
Right. How do we get in?
Sorry?
How do we get into the wood?
It's
All the way round.
Hello, you there?
Hello there.
You could have come with us from the village hall.
We've just come from the village hall.
You've come the wrong way around.
Whereabouts do we need to be?
That's the problem now.
Which is?
Langeais.
Back to where the coach is,
Yeah.
and you'll
And
see.
in front you have a street which name is Rue du Bois, Street of the Wood.
Right.
And you take this street and
We're going back to the village hall now, Madame Dupree.
If you walk round that way, you'll no doubt see us come out, in actual fact.
Oh, that was just, the monument is so beautiful. It's very, very simple, but it's so beautiful and it's so heartfelt. And the people of Oppy host that monument. And I didn't know, I'd just seen photographs of the monument, but then on the side of the monument that you can't see in the photographs is a dedication from the Vicomte and the Vicomtesse who gave the ground. And that was given in memory of their 22-year-old son who was killed on the Somme. So I've remembered him too.
Well, let's see, Chaplain. Tell me one thing that the name Jack Harrison means to you.
Courage.
How do you think he defined courage?
His actions define courage. Selfless. Giving for others. The ultimate sacrifice. In the face of overwhelming odds. Courage. Yes.
Brilliance as well. He seemed to be rather good at a lot of things, didn't he?
Yes, because he can even inspire red and whites. This has been filmed in Sutton. And to sing Old Faithful is an opportunity that we surely can't miss nowadays. But Jack's given us another opportunity there. Yes, it's very fitting, the birthplace, a wonderful occasion. A wonderful occasion, and something that we should feel rightly proud of as black and white, the black and white family.
One last thing, obviously you know I'm running a campaign to get a statue of Jack. Do you think that would be a fitting memorial for him?
Absolutely. We were just talking earlier that there's still people who have got no idea about Jack and his story, and it's a wonderful story. It's an inspiration for many, and we find that with our young people, with the tag rugby that we organise. New generations of people are finding in Jack and his story and his sacrifice inspiration for life. Yes, we need to tell the story, and a statue certainly brings that to people's attention, and all the very best with your efforts in raising that fund.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, Ian.
Appreciate it.
Good evening. The Lost Post Association welcomes you to this daily act of remembrance. May we please ask to remain silent and not to applaud either during or after the ceremony. Thank you. Dames en heren, welkom op dit dagelijks herdenkingsmoment. Mogen we jullie vriendelijk verzoeken de stilte te bewaren en niet te applaudisseren, zowel tijdens als na de plechtigheid. Dank u.
Standard, carry standard.
Prayer for Meningate. Heavenly Father, we come to honour those who gave their lives during the Great War of 1418. Their courage under horrendous conditions has helped to create a hope of peace across our respective nations. We visit from Hull to remember brave men who died 102 years ago today. They are not forgotten. Nor are the greater number who are forever remembered
at this place. May the love of God, Maker and Redeemer, be their blessing, and may our hearts forever be a sanctuary of remembrance. Amen. Amen. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Peter Strong and Gloria Parmain, you're the niece and nephew of Lillian Ellis, the wife of Jack Harrison.
The wife of Jack Harrison.
Can you tell me, how much did Lillian used to talk about Jack to you?
All the time. Well, I was only young at the time, of course, but no, she always talked about him. My Jack, she called him, and of course I was only a little girl then, so it was like, you know, I would rather have gone out and played than. But yes, it was my Jack all the time. Yes.
And did she speak much about his sporting prowess or the sort of person that he was?
Yes, she was very, very proud of him, and she did a huge album of all his cuttings, like the Sunday papers, you know, when it came out of the sport. Harrison does it again, or Jack's done it again, and she did all. She had every cutting in the paper. She kept always. Yes, yeah.
And I understand that although she lost her husband and obviously her son as well to the military, she was quite she was quite encouraging to you, Peter, when you
She was. Yeah, I was going in the Navy, and she was very proud of the fact that I was going into the Royal Navy, and she was so positive about the forces, really.
She was all
after what she'd been through, she was still amazingly positive about the forces, really.
Do you think that was Jack's influence on her at all? The fact that he obviously left a reserved occupation, hadn't he, to go into the forces?
Well,
yes, and I don't know the logic in her mind of why she.
Well, I think she was
came
so
to
proud of him to do that. She would have done that. She was so proud of him, you know. I think everything he did was.
Oh yes.
Wasn't it? You know.
But her belief also was the forces.
Yeah.
I think in herself.
Yeah.
Really.
Brian and Eric Brown. I understand that your mother was actually a cousin to Jack Harrison, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And did she speak much about Jack?
Well, no, my mother died when we were young. So,
right. So
we didn't know him. We knew nothing.
How did you come to find out that you were actually related to him?
About 3 years ago, there was a request from the East Yorkshire Regiment who were looking for relatives. And we knew we had a VC in the family. I'm sorry, my voice has gone.
Okay, it's fine.
We knew we had a VC in the family. So we went down to this meeting as Holy Trinity. And it started from there, really.
Right, and so obviously you found out in the last few years you were related to him.
That's right.
And would you say you've gone on to research his story?
Oh yes, very much so.
Yeah, and what did you find out? You know, how did it feel what you were finding out to find you were related to this man?
Well, this guy was special, really special. In every way, he was a teacher, he was a cricketer, but above all, he was a superb rugby player, the likes of which will not be seen again.
And you knew about his VC beforehand, did you?
Oh yes, but it did mean a lot to us then. Only when we started to research it and get more involved, then it became apparent that this guy was a bit special.
And as you've obviously found out more and more about him, we're here today. We've had the commemorations all this week, haven't we, since last Friday? How has that made you feel to know that he's being honoured in the way that he is?
Well, apart from being very tired now, it's made me feel humble and proud.
Yeah, it's the same with me. Happy.
Very proud.
Yeah.
Okay.
That we have this man in our family is something which is wonderful, really, and it's good. I feel good that these good people here who are following me on, this is my family, Chris and 2 years, that they will carry Jack Harrison with them for years to come.
Of course, and Chris, obviously you're the next descendant now, if you like, and you know, and you've got two daughters who are going to benefit from the freedom that Jack fought for. You know, what does it mean to yourselves to have to be related to him?
Obviously, like my dad said, I'm very proud. Again, I found out about him, say about 2-3 years ago, and obviously I've been looking into his life, and it's quite incredible, really.
Okay, and how was the last week? You know, the commemorations. I'm guessing you're thinking this is absolutely deserved by him.
Yeah, I mean, like with the rugby match, the applause and everything, it was very moving. Yeah.
And obviously, there's been other members of Jack's family from Lillian's side of the family it's brought you all together, I would say, this week, hasn't it? How was that gone?
It was nice to meet them, yeah, definitely, yes, very nice people.
And are there people you're going to stay in touch with, would you say?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got to ask you a personal thing now. I'm obviously running a campaign to get a statue of Jack in Hull City Centre. Is that something that the family would support?
Absolutely, of course, yeah.
Yeah? And
you would, girls, yeah?
Yeah, they're great.
But it's something you'd like to see, and with something of his story on it, possibly?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Eric and Brian, would it be fair to say that you will support the statue campaign as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes,
we are doing it,
Yeah, okay. And just one last thing, obviously, has it changed life much to finding out that you are so closely related to him?
But it's changed my life, certainly.
In what way?
In that it's keeping me busy. I'm retired, so I've got time on my hands. And since Jack Harrison came into my life, it's filled a lot of gaps for me. It's a wonderful experience.
How about yourselves, Jasmine, Eloise and Chris? Has it changed life for you much?
Well, it's made me feel like proud how I'm related to someone who's that brave.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah.
Very proud, yeah.
Okay. Right, well, Jasmine, Chris, Eloise, Eric, Brian, thank you so very much for talking to me today about for this documentary. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And she had her son brought up in the same way as his father.
That's right.
You know, I mean, he went through Sandhurst to come out as an officer, so she wanted him to be brought up the same as his dad. You know.
So
And he was.
Would you say the commemorations that have been happening this week in Oppy and in Hull and here today that we're laying a commemorative stone for him, would you say it was thoroughly earned by Jack? He must be thrilled to be here to see the whole
without doubt. He's very proud to be here. You know, he was such an amazing character.
Very, very
He was a very rare character, really, isn't he? You know.
Indeed. I've got to ask you one personal thing. Now, I'm running a campaign to get a statue of Jack erected in the Hull City Centre. Is that something that you would actually like to see happen? Is it something you
Yes, I'd like to follow through with you, without doubt, and try and help in some way.
Right, okay. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. This is Trinity Square, which I believe would be a perfect place for a statue of Jack Harrison. We already have a statue over there of Andrew Marvell, and I think a statue of Jack overlooking the marvellous Hull Minster, almost like he overlooks his lines at Oppy Wood, would be a very fitting tribute. I'm going to read a poem now by Sue Ireland about Jack, and it's actually in this book, The Heroic Johnsman, by my friend Patrick Neal. I would urge people, as many people as possible, to buy this book, not only because it's a fabulously informative book and has taught me an awful lot about Jack Harrison, but also that because some of the proceeds from sales of the book will actually go towards the statue fund. So this is the poem, Jack Harrison, VC. This son of Hull from South Coates Lane, a boulevard hero, many tries to his name. With Billy Batten he thrilled the fans, chanting his name all over the ground. The Western Front and a morning in May, the East Yorkshire Pals pinned down where they lay. A machine gun emplacement, heavy fire from the gun. A lone figure stands and begins his run. Did he think he was at the boulevard when he jinked and ran fast and hard? This winger weaving and running his best across no man's land to a machine gun nest. That fatal day in Oppy Wood, when he gave his life for the common good. As in his brain the blood thundered loud, did he hear the roar of the boulevard crowd? Did he see the line at the Early Street end, and instead of enemies, did he see friends? No pistol or grenade, just a rugby ball packed. No German sniper, just the Wigan fullback. Did he aim for the line between the sticks, to ground the ball just right for the kick? But he silenced the gun that spat deadly fire, and it ended his life down in the French mire. And as the ref blew his whistle for time, Jack Harrison crossed that eternal line. A hero from the boulevard, he won his VC. So I learned in childhood at my grandfather's knee. Thank you very much, Sue Island, for such a lovely poem. Here in the UK City of Culture 2017, we love a Hull lad done good. This man is a Hull lad done exceptional, and that's why I believe we should have a statue of him. We have many statues in Hull, some of them of local people, some of them of people that we've adopted into Hull, others of royalty. This is a Hull man who just went above and beyond. During the time I've been making this documentary, I've learned many things about Jack Harrison that even I didn't know. I thought I knew everything about him. Trust me, I really didn't. And I believe, from everything I have found out, that he does deserve a statue. He deserves a statue in a prominent place outside Holy Trinity Church, and something that would then continue to tell his story, continue to educate people, because there are still not enough people who know his story. There's plenty who think they know his story, but they don't know the half of it, some of them. I can guarantee that, because I didn't know the half of it when I thought I knew everything. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this documentary. I truly hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as I've enjoyed making it. During this time, I have had some exceptional experiences, thanks to this man, going and representing Hull FC at Oppy Wood 100 years to the day after Jack won his VC there, was something that will live in my memory for the rest of my life. Probably even more than what Wembley from last year will. Please, all I can ask, I plead with everybody, is that we do what's right by this man. As fabulous as this memorial is, and as proud as Hull FC and the Hull City Council and the whole city have done him, we need a statue of him, and a proud statue with his story written below it, so that more and more people can learn about him. Thank you very much.